Hey,
How you doing?
girl, it's been a day, but I'm good.
Good. So we are going to do what's up, Poppy. We're going to do a little E-class. Hi, honey. So we're going to do a little housekeeping first. I want to introduce myself and my glasses that are reflecting the light behind it, but you need this light so you can get this face. I am Connie S. Falls. The S is for system. For the last 13 years, I've spent my time investing in small businesses to make sure that they have systems. What are systems, Connie? Your operations, your policies, your processes, your procedures, everything that goes into building the foundation of your business. My company helps you create. These last 13 years have been absolutely amazing, and I've had a great opportunity to meet some super dope people. So I decided to create this podcast, which is basically Business and BS. Sometimes the BS stands for business strategy. Sometimes it stands for the regular BS that comes along with having a business. Today on Business and BS, we have an amazing guest, Ms. Jasmin. Womack, how you doing?
Hey. Super excited to be here.
And it's so funny the way God works, because I literally this week, I've been thinking about so many different things. And I was like, man, if I only had this person on this week, they could talk about. So yesterday, our New Leisure, we had Rashad on here, where he hit his, number 10 mark on the business podcast list. And then when I was just looking at current events, I was like, man, I wish Jasmine was coming in here to talk. And I was like, she is on the calendar already. Look at how God works out. So I'm so happy to have you. So Jasmine, if you would please give us a little information about who you are.
Hey everyone. My name is Jasmin Womack. I'm a writing consultant and corporate trainer. Experts and leaders come to me when they have a message that they want to maximize and package within a book to make more impact and increase their income. So I work with high-performing entrepreneurs and corporate professionals to help them package their message in a book, and then show them how they can use their book to start, grow, and expand their business by creating multiple streams of income through speaking, course creation, and things of that nature. So I'm excited to be here.
Yay, come on, God, with the good breakdown. Yes, I love me a good breakdown. Okay, awesome. So I love to start the show off with just really understanding who people are and how they became to be who they are. So tell me a little bit about Jasmin growing up.
Oh, Jasmin growing up was a quiet kid. I still am. I was the girl who thought that she was going to grow up to be a radio disc jockey. So, like back in the day when we had the radios and you could record on them, you could get the blank tapes. Yes. I would record all my little favorite songs and talk on it and act like I was DJing my own radio station. But I was also a very avid book reader. So even as a child, I didn't really get into crowds or anything. I've always just kind of had the same personality that I have now, except from a child perspective or whatnot. But yeah, that's just, I always just kind of went to the beat of my own drum.
Awesome. So now, were you raised in a household where entrepreneurship was prevalent?
Here's the thing about it. My grandfather, I was born and spent the first 12 years of my life in Columbus, Georgia, before my family moved to Atlanta. And so when I was a young child, my grandfather, he owned the only Black shoe repair store in Columbus. And so I didn't realize the magnitude of it then. I used to say, I'm going to granddaddy's shoe repair store, and he would show me how the machines work. He would polish the shoes. He would, repair the soles and the heels. But he had the only Black owned shoe repair store. And then my stepdad's parents up the street, on the same street, had a Subway. And so they had a Subway on Buena Vista Road. They had a Subway in the mall in Columbus. And they had different Subways in some of the surrounding towns like LaGrange and, that kind of thing. But at the time, I didn't think anything of it. And nobody sat down with me to kind of explain the gravity of it. It was just like, we're going to go see your grandparents, that type of thing. So that's what I grew up around. When I was in middle school, my stepdad, who I refer to as my dad, he branched out on his own to open up some Subways. But his business endeavors didn't really go very far. So I had kind of always been around it, although I didn't know the ins and outs of it. But I always had some type of hustle going on. So when I was in school, it was selling candy. Then it evolved to me making crochet items and selling them. And that's what I started doing in college. So by the time I went to college, I could custom create crochet items, bathing suits, hats, whole entire outfits, jewelry. And when there was a party going on, they would come to me to get jewelry. They want to go to Daytona Beach for spring break. They would get custom outfits made, but they didn't want to pay what it was worth, because I'm like, listen, I'm hand making this. But college students, they ain't really have it. But that's kind of how I was, put into it.
Got it. So most of us don't even have the type of influence when we're growing up to see what entrepreneurship looks like around us.
Right.
Do you feel like that has impacted how you turned out?
That is a really, really good question. I think in a way it has, but I also believe that my son just woke up, but I also believe that a lot of it is generational. Give me one second. I'm sorry, my son woke up.
You're fine.
Hold on.
It's real life entrepreneur life, y'all.
Come here, butt. So the thing about it is that my biological father, Daddy's right there. My biological father, I didn't know him. I didn't know really anything about him or about that side of my family, right? And it wasn't until my first year in college that I began to learn about that side of my family. And at the time, I was in school to be an educator. Divine intervention, ended up meeting my first cousin who introduced me to the family history on my paternal father's side. So everybody on that side of my family is an educator. I didn't even know this, and I was in college to be an educator. My cousin was an educator. My aunt was a superintendent of schools. My grandparents were educators and superintendents. And also on that side of the family was ministry. I didn't know any of this. I recently found out, Connie, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, but I posted it like probably about 2 weeks ago. I recently found out that my great-great-grandmother on my father's side was a minister. She founded the Holiness Pentecostal Church, but she also had her own publishing company. She started her own publishing company back in like 1923 for the sole purpose of publishing the literature that she needed for her ministry and for her parishioners. She had her publishing company for probably about anywhere between 10 to 15 years. And I think it shut down like around 1938. And I was like, here I am in 2020, literally in the bloodline, like writing books and publishing. When I tell you, I got chills reading that. And I found out through Facebook, through my same cousin who reposted something that another one of my family members that I've never met on my father's side posted. And I just started doing research. I'm like, okay, let me click on this link. Okay, well, let me, go type in this name. Where can I find this person? And it took me to the website of the church where they gave like all this family history and talked about the publishing company. And I was in tears. So a lot of what I'm doing right now is literally bloodline. Like, and I had no clue. Literally had no clue.
That is divine intervention right there. Which oddly is actually my line.
I literally found this out like 2 weeks ago. Like my great-great-grandmother, who was a minister, started a publishing company back in like 1921 or 1923.
That lets you know that you're on the right path. That's awesome. So let's move a little bit forward on your journey. So you're surrounded by entrepreneurs. You understand the business side of things. You don't really know what it means, but you still go into the educational field. What was that like teaching? And tell me a little bit about your school and the things that made you say, I need to make this move.
So I enjoyed teaching. I didn't enjoy the politics of teaching. I enjoy working with the students, seeing the light bulbs go off, A lot of it I enjoyed. But it was always something going on. So I enjoyed the work that I did. But when it came to the politics, which is one reason why I consult and train on leadership, you have leaders in position who do not know how to connect with their staff, and they don't know and understand how to bring out the best in their staff and to be able to positively influence, the environment, And so when I started, when I wrote my book and I started publishing for others and I began to get some success, then I guess word got around, and I had one administrator who was extremely supportive. She retired, and the person who was promoted in her place did not like any of my out of school activities. And when I decided to take a step down from the leadership positions that I held in my job, like I was department chair, I was team leader, I was PLC team lead. I held leadership positions in the school.
Okay, so now you held these leadership positions while you were there, and yeah, some people were supportive and some weren't.
Right. And so what ended up happening is that I couldn't handle the responsibilities of the leadership positions because I lived out of the district, and I was having to literally pick my children up after work, drive all the way back out to Cobb County, 45 minutes an hour to sit in these meetings. And my husband travels for work. So I was just like, I'm going to just put this energy into my business. And so once I stepped down, they just kind of started coming after me. And I was actually forced into full-time entrepreneurship a year before my initial plan. Because my goal was that I wanted to save a certain amount before I actually took the leap. But my evaluating administrator and I just were not seeing eye to eye, and she had made the work environment somewhat hostile for me, and began just doing things that it just wasn't right. And I refused to go back. And so I put in, after her and I had some words, and she put me on she said an informal professional learning plan. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I've been teaching for 12 years. I've gotten the highest evaluations, had exceptional student growth. And this is what you do, but you give people who can't even control their classrooms 4s on their evals while you knock me on some bogus stuff. So I was like, I'm not dealing with this. And so I didn't go back, and I didn't. And I took the leap into full-time entrepreneurship. And long story short, about 2 to 3 months later, that's when I had my first 5-figure month. And it was just consistent and on upward from there. And since then, I've had the opportunity to coach and work with, consult, and publish hundreds of authors all over the country, all over the world. I've been able to, speak all over the country. It's just really been amazing. I feel like it was God that forced me out, because had I tried to do it on my own terms, I would have just waited to try to, until it was comfortable. And it was just that situation putting me out there that was like, okay, you got to make this work. There's no plan B. You got to make it happen.
And I think it's a very scary, well, that jump is very scary. And I know from my side, it was scary for me. I literally called and told them, hey, put my boss on the phone. I ain't never coming home. Yeah, keep all the stuff that's on the walls. I'm never coming back. So I know what that leap looks like, and it's horrifying. So
it was scary. I cried for weeks. And that's the part that people didn't see. Like, I literally cried for weeks because I took my job seriously. And then I was like, this is something I've invested in. Like, I invested money and time into a bachelor's, a master's, a specialist degree. And I'm like, and here you are going to make it seem like I'm a teacher who doesn't care just because you have some personal grievance against me. It was almost to the point where I had to use her evaluations against the evaluation she was trying to give me. Like, it was ridiculous. But I took it personally, and I had to say, you know what, maybe this is God's way of saying, listen, I have something better for you. But it was very difficult. It was I cried for weeks.
So one, I thank you for your transparency, because I think, we've made entrepreneurship so sexy and jumping and take the leap and what is it, jump out the plane and build a parachute. Nah, man, I'm not trying to build no parachute on the way down. I want to have me
No,
a parachute. Like, so
I
you
was terrified.
like, yeah, it's a scary process, and I don't think most of us that end up thrown into entrepreneurship, like, we wish we would have had a better plan. We wish we would have had more savings put away. But it's with God's grace that we're able to make the transitions that we are. So we're grateful to Him for that. Also, want to talk about and highlight the fact that you are married, and in that decision making process, of course, it's not just you. What was your husband's thought as far as taking this leap?
Listen, I had children. I have a husband. We had just bought a house. It was a lot. I was just like, if I was single, it was it would have been an easy decision to make. But when you have a lot of responsibilities, you have children to take care of, you have school, you have daycare, you have responsibilities. It's just like, but I think that one of the things about it was that my husband used to bring me lunch often to work. He works for the railroad. And so our schedules were off. Like, he would be at work while I was asleep, and I would be at work while he was asleep, because he worked nights and I worked days. So a lot of times during the days, he would bring me lunch. And one day he came to my classroom and he knocked on the door, and I jumped. And I opened the door and saw it was him, and I broke down crying, like, in the hallway. And he was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "You don't understand." Like, this lady literally just left my classroom, and she keeps, like, badgering me, and I thought that you were her again. And so it was at that point when he saw the level of anxiety and stress that I was under, and he was just like, "Nah, you need to come up out of here, because it's not worth it." And so we came up with a plan, and I just had to make it work. And that's what it was.
So what does the plan look like when you're like, I have to get out of here? Because if you have the opportunity to say, this is what we put into action, what did that look like for those people that are looking to make the transition and need a plan but don't necessarily have a plan yet? What did your plan look like?
Well, one of the things about it was that I was already making money in my business. That was one of the things that made it an easier transition for me, because by the time all of this went down with my job, I was making more money in my business than I was on my job. So
Mm-hmm.
on my job, I was maybe bringing home $3,500 a month, but through my business, I was making around the $8,000 mark per month. Between 6 and 8, it fluctuated per month. And so I had enough. It wasn't what my goal was, but I knew that I had enough to leave my job and still be able to contribute to my home.
I think we need to talk a little bit more about the fact that you let your job fund your dream, because folks are like, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, I'm about to quit my job. Whoa, hold on.
No, I, we lived off of my job income while I built my business to the point where it was. And even at that point, I still had a lot of expenses because I had a team. I wasn't doing everything. So even though I was making around 8,000, between 6 and 8,000 a month, I was not keeping that amount because I had to pay my team. However, with the money that I was making, it was still enough to be able to contribute to my home, still be able to pay for coaching, take care of business expenses, and I was able to grow. And so one of the things that I did do is that I invested in coaching. Um, I knew that I had all the pieces, but they need to be put together. And so I paid for a VIP day with a coach, and we went through all of my offerings. We looked at how much I was bringing in per month. We looked at all of my packages. We got rid of the cheaper packages. She made me increase my prices, which for me was a whole entire mindset shift. Because I was like, well, who's going to pay the highest price and all this and that? We created some newer packages, and then I also created a program. And so once I repackaged my services, I was so scared that people wouldn't pay the higher price. But once I put it out there, the higher price is all that people paid. that's the one they wanted. And so for me, I realized that I had been holding myself back just because of my own limitations and what I believe that people wouldn't do, instead of focusing on the value that I offered and looking at what people would do for what they wanted. So yeah.
So let's talk about coaching and mentorship. Everybody is always afraid to try and invest into their business, although they want everybody to invest in theirs. How did that change your life when it came to adding mentors and coaches to your business?
It changed it dramatically. I keep a coach, point blank, period. I'm gonna keep a coach or stay in some community. At the time, I was the only person that I knew who was doing the type of things that I wanted. Like outside of being a mom, being a wife, working full time, nobody that I knew in my inner circle or in my immediate environment was trying to build, better yet, build a business online. Like nobody that I knew was doing that. So having coaches or having communities, being a part of communities with other like-minded people, for me it was priceless, because it was that support and that motivation, to keep going, especially when nobody around me could understand what I was doing. Like, it was like, okay, you following a pipe dream, or this is just something new you're trying to do. But for me, I'm like, I knew that there were people that were already operating on the level that I already wanted to operate on, and they had a certain level of knowledge about things I didn't. And I didn't want to just take the long way out and just keep reading books and searching on the internet. No, give me the shortcut. Give me the shortcut. Give me the shortcut. And I think that it was that constant reinvestment. I think that a lot of people make money in their business and they go spend it. It's just like Facebook ads. When you make money from an ad, you got to put that money back into the ad to scale it so you can make more money. So in business, when you make money in your business, you don't just get to the point where, you know what, I feel comfortable, I'll make some money, I'm going to take this and keep it for myself. You have to reinvest it back into your business so that you can continue to learn, so that you can continue to grow, so that you can continue to evolve your systems, build your team, get an assistant, and outsource those things that you are not an expert in, so that you can actually focus on the lead generation, so that you can focus on revenue generating activities, and so that you can always, be abreast of the next level, like learning what it is you need to go to the next level. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like, even now, okay, yeah, I created a program and I was having 5-figure launches, but it's like, how can I create this program in a way where it doesn't require my hands on, and how can I scale that so it's evergreen and generating money without me? Those are the next steps. I think that a lot of people get a little bit of success, they make a little bit of money, and they get comfortable with that instead of trying to understand and figure out how they can make a business and create a business that they can eventually either pass on to the people in their family and or sell it if they choose to. And the only way to create a business that you can sell is to create the systems that don't require you to be there hands on. So that's my thought. What do I need to go to the next level? How can I create this business? How can I create this program so I can bring in other coaches or be totally hands off with it, so that if I want to one day to license it, or if I want to one day to sell it, I'll be in a position to do that.
Well, I'm gonna just go ahead and get off the phone now. I'm gonna just go. I can't even put my glasses on like I normally do because I got glasses on today. I hope that y'all are really understanding the thought process behind this. My number one thing is systems. Connie S. Falls, the S is for systems. All I care about is for entrepreneurs to be able to live their life hands-free. So when you are going through this journey and you're creating all of these systems and you're hiring teams, what did it look like for you to choose the people that would be on your team?
A mess. An entire mess. And this isn't to slight or knock anybody that I worked with in the past, but one of the things that I recently learned, because it took me like a year and a half of up and down assistance, hiring this person, trying to bring this person in from my family, to realize, like, you can't go cheap when it comes to hiring the people that you need. I've gotten to the point where in my business where I'm like, I need somebody to think for me. I don't want to have to tell you every single thing to do. I need you to be skilled at what you do so that you can see the gaps that I don't see, and you can advise me on that. And with that, you got to be willing to make an investment. And it's as simple as that. And that investment is going to make you money because it's going to free up your time. So I think that honestly, in that regard, I'm still learning. I finally got me a really, really solid assistant who is bomb at what she does. But I went through like 4 or 5 of them, and I got frustrated after a while, and I just reverted back to being my own assistant. But it was just like, I can't grow like this. I can't scale like this. I don't have time to be reading these emails. I don't have time. I can't do this. I need to find somebody, you know? So I think that you're going to go through that process, but you got to be very clear about what it is you need, why you need them, and then even more so, you have to be willing to allow them to operate in their zone of genius where you're not still trying to control them.
You better preach, girl. Oh,
and that was difficult for me because I'm like, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done right. And it's just like, if you hire somebody, trust them to do what you hired them to do. You have to put in the systems for that. It's like, okay, you're going to get a 30-day trial. You're going to get a 90-day trial. The same as if you were going to work. If you were on a job, you know, like you have that probationary period. Let me see how you do. Let me start you off with some small tasks. Let me see how you do on this. Let me train you for this. And then as I see that you can be trusted with these things, and I'll give you more responsibility.
You're just speaking all my language, girl. Come on with the systems talk.
I'm still learning though. I'm still learning, but that's what I've learned so far.
And it's a journey. We're going to learn things all the time. I mean, even like I just had my workshop earlier, and we were talking about the benefit of hiring and training and how to train the people that you bring on your team. So for those of you guys that are not well versed in having employees or having contracted workers, there's processes that go in place into hiring the right people, right? People get so excited. They're like, oh, we can go on Upwork or go on Fiverr and just hire folks for that's not always the best option for you. And then even if you are hiring from there, what processes do you have to onboard them? How are you training them? How are you teaching them how to run your business? And have you ever documented how to run your business? So yes, amen to the systems approach, because it is imperative to your business. So let's talk about, we talked about hiring. Let's talk about, we got the coaching part. Let's talk about mentorship. Do you have any mentors that you look towards, whether they're, you know, you see them all the time, or somebody that you look at that's online? Who did you go to when it came to looking for a mentor?
I just recently got into a mentorship with someone, with Megan Ward, and it's going well. I look at where people are and like what they're doing, the type of life they live, the type of impact that they're making. And I know that one thing about Megan is that she was speaking on a level that I desire to speak. The U.S. Embassy and other places, getting sponsorships and things of that nature. So I'm like, she's about 6 years younger than me, but I'm like, let me humble myself so I can learn something new. And I think that being willing to be humble and coachable, I think that that's necessary. So I've always pretty much paid for coaching. Never really got into mentorship until recently, but even still, it's a paid mentorship, but I'm enjoying it so far. I can say that I've been blessed to connect with some really genuine people that if I need to, if I have a quick question or something, and I can pick up the phone. But other than that, I haven't really experienced a real thorough mentorship yet, but you know, it's coming.
Love it. So now let's talk about the transition from you. So now we got out of the school, we're doing the work, we're understanding, you know, how to put systems in place for your business. At what point were you like, oh, this is my thing? Like this is my purpose. What point did you figure out what your purpose was?
When I fasted for 2 weeks. When I first started out, I was talking about relationships and stuff. And I was trying to be some popular relationship guru, and it just wasn't working. Nothing I was doing was working. Nothing. And so I was like, okay, God, I know that you told me to start this business, but you're going to have to show me what to do and what direction to go in. So I literally shut it down. I stopped going live. I stopped posting. I fasted for 2 weeks and went into prayer. And I was like, if this is something that you want me to do, you're going to have to show me what to do. I was literally out running one day, and it was placed into my spirit, you need to teach people how to write their books and build their business. And I was like, nobody's going to pay me for that. And then it came into my spirit again. I was like, okay, well, I guess I don't have anything to lose, because what I'm doing isn't working. And the thing about it was that all this time I had been praying for a breakthrough in my business, but I had all these people coming to me asking me to help them with their books, and I was sending them to other people. So it was like the answer to the prayer was already in front of my face, but because it didn't present itself in a package that I expected or that I wanted, I was looking right past it. And the thing about it was that I had already operated in this space. I was a writing coach at my middle school. I was department chair at my middle school. I had done this work on a school-wide and district-wide level for quite some time. And it's just like, when I started doing it in my business exploded, and I haven't looked back. And so I realized like this was my jam when everybody that I helped was getting massive results. And that's when I made the correct connection. I was like, why are you tripping, Jazz? You didn't just start doing this. You've been doing this. You did this at your job. You was a language arts teacher for 12 years. You edited papers for 12 years. You taught writing for 12 years. You taught entire staffs how to write. You taught staffs how to write within their subject area and how to infuse writing in their content. You taught them how to, assess student writing for their subject. Like, you have organized school-wide writing assessments and writing workshops for years at a time. Like, you raised entire school writing schools. Like, you've been doing this. Why are you tripping? So for me, that's when the light bulb went off. And I was like, and that's when I realized your gift is oftentimes something that comes very easy to you, but you often overlook because it comes easy to you. And it may not be packaged the way you want it, but that's what your gift is.
You just speaking my language today. I might just go ahead and walk off this call and let you go ahead and close it out. But I agree 1,000%, because even for me, when it came to consulting, I was like, I just like telling people what to do. I didn't realize that people would, y'all gonna pay me to tell you what to do? I I can't wait when I wake up to tell somebody what to do. Y'all want to give me a bunch of money to tell you what to do with your business because that's all I've been doing for all of these years? Absolutely believe in what you said. Like, it's something that's easy, and a lot of us struggle with figuring out our purpose because we're looking for it to come down and sunshine, right. And somebody, like, it doesn't always come in that package, and that relates to relationship, that relates to business. It doesn't always have to come in the package that you want it to come with at the time you think it's supposed to come.
Right. It's oftentimes already right in front of your face. You're just looking right past it.
I hope y'all start looking around after this call, because she didn't put it out there. So now we figured out our purpose, and we're like, oh, okay, Lord, I can go get me some pizza now. I got my fast together. What were your next steps after that? After you heard the word, you understood your purpose. He was like, and go. What were your next steps?
I put it out there. That I had editing. That I was editing at the time. I don't edit anymore, but that I was editing at the time. And then I had a coach at the time that pushed me into it. So they started sending me clients. And so my first client was a lady in Ireland. So it's like my first 2 clients were international. One was in Ireland and one was in Canada. And so it was just like my first 2 publishing clients, I became an international publisher. It's like, okay, if you can help publish somebody's book all the way in a different country overseas, then you can't tell me nothing. And so I just began to share the work that I was doing. Every single thing, I shared it. And I put out quality products. I think that that's a big difference. A lot of people who so-called publish, they go the cheapest route. I had monthly expenses because I invested back into my business. So I invested in quality designers. I helped make sure, that my clients, had quality products, and it didn't look like anything that came off of Fiverr. And I started studying marketing. I started studying marketing and literally just sharing everything that I was doing, and it just exploded.
Well, you're on the right path and you follow on your purpose, boy. Your whole life will change.
And I didn't know. I couldn't see the next step. I was just going. I would, try to plan things out. And it just began to evolve and evolve and evolve. And I think that's another thing that get a lot of entrepreneurs too. They want to see the whole pie, but you have to start where you are and go in faith and do the best that you can. And as you begin to learn how to plan, as you begin to learn how to put systems in place, then you do those things, and then it'll start, evolving and compounding.
I love
and
it.
Sometimes you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes, and you can't be afraid of making the mistake. Sometimes you're gonna take a loss. You can't be afraid of that. It's all part of the journey.
That's what we're talking about, the whole journey of this entrepreneur life. It's not everything that you see online. So while we're talking about quality, I think we'd be remiss to not talk about current events and being able to create quality products.
Right. I got like 10% left on my phone. You got a charger? I don't know if I brought my charger. Hold on. But go ahead. I'm listening.
You're good. So let's talk about creating quality products. We are in a very microwave world where you're able to access a lot of documents, a lot of pre-prep things, a lot of templates to be able to help your business, right? Which is how it's packaged. Let's talk about creating quality products.
That comes with, you have to have your concept. You have to reinvest into your teams. No, you cannot go onto Pinterest and photocopy anything. No, you cannot pull anything offline. No, you can't take pictures that you've seen online and put them in your book. Like you have to be up on copyright laws. You have to know about publishing laws. Like, and the thing about it is, it's deeper. For me, it's deeper than publishing a book, especially when you look at the history of Blacks and literacy in the United States, how it was against the law for us to learn how to read. It was against the law for us to learn how to write. And any type of Black entrepreneurship, like anytime we tried to get ahead, it was always a concerted effort to tear our efforts down as a community. And so therefore, when it comes to writing a book and putting your message into a book, you are building a platform and establishing yourself as a thought leader in an industry that is whitewashed and male dominated. And therefore, you should want to put the best. You should want to be the best. You should want to put the best quality product out, because you're actually putting yourself out there as an influencer, as a thought leader, and as a shift changer. So I don't get where the whole I just want to throw something together comes from. I think it's a character issue.
All right, so we're gonna push a little bit farther on it. Why are we where we are now? Why did we get to the point where we're just trying to throw things together?
I think that people, like Kendall Figlin, he always says, everybody wants what it looks like, but nobody wants what it feels like. People aren't willing to go through the go-through. People want the notoriety, they want the glam, they want the popularity, but they don't want the late nights. They don't want the losses, the discomfort. They don't want now you have to learn a lesson of you're making a lot of money, but you have a lot of expenses. How can you decrease these expenses so that you can increase your profit? People don't want to go through the hard lessons. People want what it looks like. They want to be able to take the pictures and floss without actually having, to be able to build something substantial. And I think that that's where we have the responsibility to really be real about what it is we're doing, what it is we're building, why we're building it, and how it actually looks. And it may not be the quickest path to popularity. People might not jump on your bandwagon, but I can guarantee you that those that do are the ones who are authentic, and they are the ones that are going to go on to create change. I think that the people who, just want it for fly by night, or they want it for the wrong reasons, 5 or 10 years from now, they're not going to be in it. They don't have the longevity. That's that's I'm not gonna throw shade, but yeah.
The longevity is important, and I think we're losing that by just throwing stuff together.
Most definitely. You lose your credibility. You bring your whole you bring everything into question when you say that you've been working on a book and it comes out you plagiarized it. Like, I question your character. I can't take anything that you say seriously. I don't care how much money you have. And anybody will tell you that we see millionaires blow their brains out every day. It's not the money that makes your life. You got to already have the life when you make the money.
Woo! I'm about to, you know what? I ain't about to do this. I'm back, y'all.
It's not the money.
Okay.
Like, well, millionaires who blow their brain, they're unhappy. They're not happy with who they are as a people. This is why you have the millionaires. They go and they, adjust every part of their body because they're not happy with who they are. Happiness will come from here. So business building is not about strategies. We give you the strategies. You go look up on YouTube on the strategies. You can hire a coach for the strategies, but it's about who you are on the inside and how whoever you are on the inside, it's eventually going to come out. It's going to manifest. You can't hide it. You can't hide the condition of your heart, the condition of your mind, your mindset. It's going to manifest in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't care how much money you have. That's why you can't be on the bandwagon and tell everybody who just talk about they make all this money. They make all this money, but they don't even take care of themselves. What type of life do you really live? Is that somebody that you really want to look up to?
I'm gonna just tip on out. I ain't got a hat, no glasses.
I'm just saying that's a whole different conversation. We see it every day. We see it every day.
So and I think it's important to say again, you get what you pay for in a lot of these scenarios. You get what you pay for. And sometimes you have to invest, like the amount of money that we spend and invest in coaching and consulting, in therapy, because again, mental health is important as your wealth is. Like all of this investment we make, so that way, one, our heart feels clear, our mind feels clear, and our pockets feel full because we've made those investments to make sure that we were okay. So Jasmin, I know your phone is probably down, but I want to make sure that you're able to pass the collection plate. Exactly. Pass the collection plate. I want you to be able to tell us what you have going on, what projects you have, how we can support you.
Oh yeah, I'm on Instagram at the Jasmin Womack. My Author Made Easy boot camp is coming up, and that is where I work with professional women and high-level entrepreneurs to help you write and finish your book in 72 hours or less. And so that's August 21st through 23rd. It is virtual, so you can apply there at authormadeeasybootcamp.com. And you can check me out on my website at jasminwomack.com. You can get some free items, check out some speaking topics if you like for me to come speak to your community.
You hear? You see the comments? Pass the collection plate. Where's your PayPal? Yes. All of these things, again, is jasminwomack.com, or is it the Jasmin Womack?
Oh, my website is jasminwomack.com, but I'm on Instagram at the Jasmin Womack.
Awesome. So all of you guys, please make sure that you're following Jasmin. Jasmin, I appreciate you, Sora. You are amazing. You are beautiful. I love watching the journey that you've been on over these years. I'm beyond grateful to have you on Business and BS, because you talked about the BS. You talked about business strategies too, but you definitely made sure to highlight that BS as well. Again, I love all of you guys. Make sure that you're tuning in every single day to Business and BS, and make sure that you follow up with everybody that we have on here, because we bring you great quality, dope folks. I love y'all, and if you need us, make sure you hit us on the DM.
Love you, Connie.